So, you're the first, eh? Our father, he told me about you, and the rest of mine kin. Said we will be friending. What, again, was your name?
I am Horus, Primarch of the 16th Legion, the Luna Wolves. Who are you?
You are a wolf? We are both wolf. I am named Leman, King of the Russ. But I am more than this, think I. I have always known I not of Fenris.
Known.
Yeah, sorry. I learned your language only 5 days ago.
You know of the Crusade?
I do know of this war. The Emperor, he has told me what I am, and what I am made for.
And do you agree with his aims?
An empire in the stars. Who could not agree with that? If I did not, I would come for the adventure. No one of the Rus make murder in the upland, but I have no choice. It is written in my weird.
Your fate.
Yeah, though it is more than that.
We do not believe in fate.
This is the imperial truth? The Emperor also says this to me on our trip here. The imperial truth.
You do not believe it?
When gods come from the sky and tell you there are no gods, it takes a little time to see what is true and what is not.
And what do you think is true?
I think a believer who ceases to believe when the truth confirms his beliefs is a fool. It doesn't matter what gods say. We don't pay them much mind. They are as drunk and stupid as we.
That will change. You will see that the imperial truth is correct. The Emperor is a man, a great man, but a man. He is no god.
My people already call him the All Father. They believe he is the king of our gods. My warriors out there believe they are in the Oververse, in Upland.
Where?
The afterlife.
There is no afterlife. This place is as real as your world. I am glad to meet you, Leman, King of the Russ. We shall grow to be great comrades, I am sure.
We shall be brothers.
I am sure you have much to discuss with our father. I shall see you soon.
Hey, Horse of the Lunar Wolves. On my word, it is common for brothers to fight. Do you think, my brother, that we might fight?
I will spar with you, if that is what you wish.
No, fight. Who would win, eh?
We are brothers. We will not fight.
Go on. Think about it. If we fought, who would win?
I would.
Perhaps you would. Perhaps one day we shall see.
Welcome back to Voxel Uplink, where today we will be taking a broad look into the life of Leman Russ, Primarch of the 6th Legion, the Space Wolves. We will discuss Leman's origins, some of his noteworthy achievements, as well as a look into his informally appointed role as the Emperor's executioner. This will be the 5th in a series of Primarch videos, each of which detailing a basic overview of each of the Sons of the Emperor. This video, much like the others, is little more than a glance through a window into a much more in-depth and fleshed out lore of the Primarchs. I do plan to cover each Primarch with much more depth in the future, so stay tuned for that. If you're enjoying the content, check out the links in the description, drop a like, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. With all that said, let's get on with the video. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. and among the warriors of this eternal battlefield, few are as revered, feared, and misunderstood as Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves. Known by many names, the Wolf King, the Emperor's Executioner, the Lord of Winter and War, Russ is a paradox. A brutal barbarian, raised on a death world, and yet a figure of loyalty, cunning, and devastating martial prowess. Today we delve deep into the saga of Leman Russ, from his feral beginnings on Fenris to the heart of his personality and his role as the Emperor's chosen enforcer, to the fateful betrayal that pitted brother against brother in one of the darkest chapters of the Horus Heresy. This is not just a story of a warrior, it's the story of a man shaped by myth, torn by duty, and forged in the crucible of the Imperium's birth. Whether you see Russ as a noble savage or a blunt instrument of imperial policy, one truth remains. His actions have rippled through time, echoing across the stars of the 41st millennium. Let us begin where all legends start, at the beginning. Leman Russ, like all of the Emperor's 20 Primarchs, was created in the gene forges of Terra, a being of supreme potential destined to shape the galaxy. But, like his brothers, Russ was stolen by the ruinous powers and scattered across the stars. He landed on the icy, volcanic death world of Fenris, a place where survival was measured in seconds and death came quickly to the weak. Fenris was unlike any other Primarch's homeworld. Its climate oscillated between bitter ice ages and fiery summers. Massive sea beasts rivaling imperial titans in size roamed its oceans. Fenris was a crucible, a world that would forge not just a man, but a legend. Russ was discovered not by kings or scholars, but by wolves. A she-wolf, whose name has been lost to time, if it ever even existed, raised the infant Russ as one of her own. He grew strong on a diet of raw meat, learned to stalk prey through blizzards, and howled with the packs beneath the aurora-lit skies. For years, he was the apex predator of Fenris, a living myth, until he encountered the warrior king Thengir of the Rus tribe. Thengir's men had ventured too close to Russ's hunting grounds, and in an instant were decimated. But Thengir, brave and unbowed, faced the Wolf King alone. Something in the Primarch stirred. He spared the warrior and followed him back to civilization. There, Russ rapidly ascended, proving himself a brilliant tactician, a relentless fighter, and a natural leader. Eventually, he bested Thengir in ritual combat and became king of the Rus. But even as he ruled, Russ felt the call for something greater, a restless yearning, an echo from the stars. That call was answered by the Emperor. When the Emperor arrived on Fenris, Russ did not fall to his knees in awe like some of his brothers. He challenged the stranger. They drank, they feasted, and they fought, not for minutes, but for days. In the end, Russ was defeated, not through strength, but by the Emperor's guile and restraint. It was this combination of might and wisdom that earned Russ's loyalty. With his father found and his destiny revealed, Russ swore himself to the Great Crusade. The wolves would leave Fenris, and the galaxy would come to know fear. To understand Leman Russ is to confront contradiction. He is often portrayed as the most savage of the Primarchs, an untamed beast who howled through battlefields, his claws soaked in blood, his eyes filled with fire. But beneath the fury lies complexity. Russ was not a brute. He was a philosopher of the wild, a warrior poet who understood loyalty, oaths, and the price of power. Compared to his brothers, Russ stood apart. Rabute Gilliman, the prim and proper administrator of Ultramar, often clashed with Russ's disdain for bureaucracy. Dawn, the stoic builder of fortresses, found Russ too unpredictable. Yet Russ was not without discipline. His was the discipline of the hunt, the wisdom of the pack where every member had a role and every action bore consequences. He was both deeply honorable and unrepentantly brutal. To his legion, he was a god. To others, a monster. But Russ's most unique trait was his self-awareness. Unlike many of his brothers who wrapped themselves in ideology or ambition, Russ knew exactly what he was: a weapon. He didn't strive for rulership like Horus or enlightenment like Magnus. He accepted his role as the Emperor's executioner. This acceptance did not come without pain, however. Russ carried guilt. He bore the weight of lives taken not in glory, but in silence. Those whom he'd killed not because they were his enemies, but because his father had commanded it. And yet, for all his grim resolve, there was laughter in Russ. His halls echoed with feasts, stories, and songs. His legion was wild but bonded, united not just by war, but by brotherhood. Even among the Astartes, the Space Wolves were different. Less rigid, more tribal, more alive. Russ never forgot where he came from, and perhaps that is what made him so feared. He reminded the galaxy that beneath civilization, beneath the armor and the banners, lay the beast within us all. Among the Emperor's many instruments during the Great Crusade, Leman Russ was the most dangerous. He was not a general, not merely a leader, he was a weapon of last resort. When diplomacy failed, when compliance turned to rebellion, when brother betrayed brother, Russ was sent. He was the Emperor's judgment, walking on two legs. This role came to define him, and ultimately to haunt him. Nowhere is this clearer than the infamous campaign against Prospero. The Thousand Sons, led by Magnus the Red, were a legion of sorcerers and scholars. Their pursuit of knowledge and the warp brought them into conflict with the Emperor's edicts. Magnus, ever proud, reached too far. In a moment of desperation, he used forbidden powers to warn the Emperor of Horus's treachery, but the psychic message came at a terrible cost: the destruction of the Emperor's secret project, the Webway. The Emperor was furious. He ordered Russ to bring Magnus to Terra for judgment, but as Russ prepared his legion, Horus intervened. Through manipulation and falsehoods, Horus convinced Russ that the order had changed. No longer was it to apprehend, but to destroy. Horus whispered lies of Magnus's rebellion, of his corruption, and Russ, trusting his brother, took up the hunt. The Space Wolves descended on Prospero like a storm. The Siege of Prospero is one of the most tragic and brutal events of the heresy. Whilst the Thousand Sons fought valiantly, they were eventually overwhelmed. Their cities burned, their people slaughtered. Russ himself confronted Magnus in single combat, a duel that shattered the planet beneath them. Magnus, heartbroken and betrayed, was decimated, both physically and spiritually. In his sorrow, he fled into the warp, sealing his path to damnation. And Russ was left with the blood of his brother on his hands. He had done his duty, but he knew, deep down, that he had been used. That moment changed Russ. The laughter dimmed. The feasts grew shorter. He became more isolated, more brutal in his execution of orders. The Emperor still trusted him, but Russ now questioned the cost of loyalty. Not because he doubted the Imperium, but because he saw how easily trust could be weaponized. Russ was a tool, and tools, no matter how noble, can be turned. Leman Russ did not die at the Siege of Terra. Unlike many of his brothers whose fates were sealed during the heresy, Russ lived on, even if only for a time. Following the Emperor's internment into the Golden Throne, Russ was changed. The man who had once howled in glory now brooded in silence. He gathered his most trusted warriors, the Wolf Guard, and departed Fenris. His parting words were cryptic. "In the end, I will return. For the final battle. for the wolf time. And with that, he vanished into myth. The Space Wolves hold fast to the belief that Russ still lives somewhere beyond the stars, awaiting the apocalyptic moment when the galaxy stands on the brink. They wait for his return, not as a hero, but as a harbinger. But even in absence, Russ's legacy endures. The Space Wolves are unlike any other chapter. Their structure, their culture, the resistance to the Codex Astartes reforms, it all stems from Russ. They remember the pack. They remember the man who led them not with commandments, but with a growl and a grin. To the Imperium, Leman Russ is a symbol of unwavering loyalty. To his enemies, he is a nightmare made flesh. To his brothers, at least those who remain, he is a reminder of what was lost in the fire of rebellion. And to us, he is a legend. One part myth, one part man. A creature born of the stars and forged in ice. The Wolf King, the Executioner. The last hope in the end times. Leman Russ was many things. A warrior, a king, a killer, a brother. But perhaps most of all, he was a mirror. A reflection of the Imperium's soul. Savage, noble, terrifying, and tragic. He did not seek power for its own sake, and he did not cloak his violence in false piety. He knew what he was, and that self-awareness made him dangerous. As the galaxy burns, as empires fall and gods rise, one truth remains. The Wolf King is still out there, watching, waiting. And when the stars bleed and the last howl echoes across the void, he will return. For the final hunt, for the wolf time. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Please consider dropping a like and subscribing if you're enjoying it, as it will greatly help out the channel, as well as giving me some ideas of what you guys want to see in the future. If you'd like to support the channel, then please head over to the Voxel Uplink Patreon. It may still be early days, but I do still have big plans for the Patreon to come. I'd like to give a special shout out to the gentleman who joined me for the opening sequence as Boris Lupercal. Whether you enjoyed today's content or not, please let me know your thoughts and opinions on Leman Russ and the Space Wolves down in the comments below. Keep your eyes peeled, as next week we'll be covering Rogel Dawn and the Imperial Fists.